I'm not saying this, Scott, but people are saying that this could be the best podcast we've ever recorded. Maybe the best podcast ever recorded in the state of Wisconsin, or maybe even the world. People are saying this. I don't know. People are saying this.
I think the people that are saying that are being kind of modest, because today's podcast, believe me, Phil, is about the greatest, not just president, man in the world, Donald Trump, and he's in Wisconsin.
The orange man has landed.
And as far as we know, he's probably still in Wisconsin as we are recording this podcast on Thursday, early afternoon. We have just listened to the Commander-in-Chief deliver a rousing speech.
Rousing and rambling.
At the site of the Foxconn plant over in Racine County.
To Foxconn and to Terry Go and to all of the amazing Wisconsin workers with us today and all over the state, I want to wish you good luck and congratulations on truly one of the eighth wonder. I think we can say the eighth wonder of the world. This is the eighth wonder of the world.
Wow. I haven't listened to a speech from him start to finish in a while.
I don't know about you, Scott, but this is possibly the greatest speech I've ever heard in my entire life.
Our listeners did not have to take our word for that, because we're going to play some of the genius of this speech, some clips from the speech. We're going to talk about it and what it all means on today's Center Stage podcast, the Wisconsin State Journal's political podcast from the Sensible Center of Wisconsin Politics. I'm Scott Milfred, the editorial page editor for the Wisconsin State Journal.
And I'm Phil Hands, the editorial cartoonist for the Wisconsin State Journal.
And we are half of the State Journal's editorial board.
The better-looking half.
All right, so this was a much-anticipated speech, sort of for reasons that weren't planned. Trump coming in to talk about the groundbreaking of the Foxconn plant. This, of course, is the flat-screen manufacturing plant from Taiwan.
Not big ones, not big screens, but little screens now. But that's okay. Everything's still the same.
This was going to be a happy moment no matter what. They were going to tout that all these jobs and businesses were coming to Wisconsin. But then it kind of got screwed up.
There was some added tension this week.
There was a bit of tension when Harley-Davidson announced that because of Donald Trump's tariffs on aluminum, steel, and other things to come, that it was going to move some of its manufacturing to Europe to avoid the tariffs.
Yeah.
And that they would build motorcycles that they sell in Europe rather than Wisconsin.
Yeah.
And so leading up to this speech, Trump was saying things that, I don't know, they didn't sound like a pro-business president to me when he said that Harley-Davidson will be taxed like never before.
Wow.
And, people kind of like Harley-Davidson, Wisconsin.
People in Wisconsin like Harley. I mean, it's sort of, Scott Walker sort of tried to make it his brand, despite the fact that he doesn't really tough like a biker-looking guy, but he rides around on Harleys all the time, and he's always wearing Harley jackets, and, his campaign ads always feature Harley-Davidson motorcycles, so it's really aligned with Republicans in Wisconsin, especially.
It really is, and, I mean, Walker's just ripped off that whole thing from Tommy Thompson. Tommy Thompson was the guy that rode around in Harleys.
Well, Tommy was cool, too.
And Tommy Thompson, he had a line that he would use all the time. It was a classic applause line where he would say, Wisconsin, where eagles soar and Harleys roar.
Oh, that's a good line.
I mean, Harley is one of the brands up there with the Green Bay Packers in Wisconsin. And now this week, Trump's all over Harley because they're traders and they're shipping jobs overseas.
Harley-Davidson, please build those beautiful motorcycles in the USA, please, okay? Don't get cute with us. Don't get cute. They don't realize the taxes are coming way down. They don't realize that yet. Spend a lot of time with them. Build them in the USA. Your customers won't be happy if you don't, I'll tell you that.
It'll be interesting to see how this plays because, everybody loves Harley in Wisconsin. But a lot of those same Harley drivers love Trump.
Yeah, it's sort of splitting your demographics. First of all, people liked football. And they could now we can't watch football anymore because the NFL is unpatriotic and kneels for the national anthem. People like to drive Harley Davidsons. Now we can't ride Harleys anymore because they're unpatriotic and they don't like Trump. It's a good thing beer isn't unpatriotic yet. That would be really upsetting for me.
Yeah, he hasn't gone after beer that I know of. I guess craft beer is not going to be moving any jobs out of state. I guess then it can't be craft.
That's right.
But Miller, hey, weren't they bought by InBev?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, I don't know.
We don't drink that beer anyway, though, Scott.
Yeah, I know. We're snooty about
We're beer snobs.
Anyway, is he winning or is he losing, do you think, this whole Harley-Davidson line?
You know, Trump can say anything.
I guess he can.
Trump can say anything, and his people that love him will love him, and the people that don't like him won't like him, and the people... There's not many people who are going to say, oh, you know what? I loved Donald Trump until he attacked Harley-Davidson, and now he's no longer my president anymore.
Yeah.
Not my president. No, I don't think there's anybody doing that. I also don't think there's a whole lot of people who hated Donald Trump, and now that he's attacking a company that's moving jobs overseas, they're going to say, oh yeah, you stick it to Harley-Davidson, Trump. That's right. You're finally doing the right thing.
Trump doesn't really have to worry about it. He's not up for election. He's just kind of breezing into Wisconsin for a little, hey, look what I did and I'm out of here. The guy that has to worry about it is Scott Walker, because he's the guy who's, has associated himself with Harley, who really, if there's one issue he hasn't agreed with Trump on and has stuck his neck out a little bit on,
just a little bit,
is the whole free trade issue, where he's been going on trade missions to Mexico and China and other places and trying to expand trade, and Trump's bad-mouthing it.
Both Walker and Ryan sort of have this cute thing of saying, well, what do you think of Trump's tariffs? Well, do you criticize Trump's tariffs? I don't criticize Trump's tariffs. I don't like any tariffs in general, though.
But my point is, Ryan's not running anymore. He's leaving as House Speaker. Trump doesn't have to face election. Walker's up for election in 4 months. He's got to be sweating a little bit at this speech, probably more than anyone. Oh, God, Trump's calling me out on the stage. I hope I can get through this without making any news.
Scott, come here. Is Scott around, please? Scott Walker. Governor Scott Walker, come here. Come here. Okay. Thank you. Two things in addition to whatever he said, he should say.
Well, thanks, Mr. President. You mentioned you got the ball rolling. Foxconn would not be in America if not for you. Back in April 27th, when you met with Terry Go and told him about not only being in America, but told him there was that pretty good site. That's an honest truth. In fact, Reince Priebus will tell you, he looked at that site. The only thing we said was we got to get a bigger site than that, because this is much bigger than we ever thought. And your team in the White House, Jared, your cabinet, everybody was just hands on deck. Great team effort here, and we couldn't be more proud to have Foxconn's 8K technology LCD panels for the first time ever outside of Asia, made in the USA, proudly here in the state of Wisconsin. Thank you, Mr. President.
I will say something about Scott Walker. After listening to Donald Trump talk, I wouldn't say give a speech, but just talk for half an hour. And Scott Walker came back on stage and just said something real quick. Scott Walker's an amazing speaker compared to Donald Trump. Everybody sounds really good when you speak right after Donald Trump.
Well, he didn't know a lot of things. Let's get to the start of the speech here and play a little bit.
When we won the state of Wisconsin, it hadn't been won by a Republican since Dwight D. Eisenhower in 1952. Did you know that? And I won Wisconsin. And I like Wisconsin a lot, but we won Wisconsin. And Ronald Reagan, remember? Wisconsin was the state that Ronald Reagan did not win. And that was in 1952. And I've gotten to know the people here. They're incredible.
Okay, as I think just about everybody knows, Wisconsin did go for Ronald Reagan.
They sure did. It was Minnesota that went for Walter Mondale in 1984.
Yeah, he can't get that right off the top of the speech there. And then he sort of just throws around numbers and figures. And we know he's already admitted to just making up numbers about trade when he was meeting with the Canadian Prime Minister.
One of the things that I thought was what he mentioned here, which was really interesting, is he talks about how everybody's talked about Foxconn. It could be up to 13,000 jobs, up to 13,000 jobs, up to 13,000 jobs. And Trump says, much more than 13,000 jobs.
Yeah. I mean, that's the thing. You start off the speech, you get it wrong. He's wrong. He wasn't the first person to win in Wisconsin since Eisenhower. He screws that up. So it's like, what do you believe when he's talking up here? And then approximately half of his speech was self-flattery.
Yeah, about how great he is and how this is a great deal that he cut, and it's amazing.
I mean, hey, this is going to be great for southeastern Wisconsin, I think, because it is this huge, giant investment. The thing that nobody mentions the whole time is we're investing in it, not just Terry Gao.
No, it's not his investment. It's our investment.
Well, he is investing money.
He is investing in it, yeah.
But Wisconsin taxpayers, state taxpayers, are investing $3 billion. Local taxpayers in that southeastern Wisconsin, they're investing more than $1 billion.
I think the total is now like $4.5 billion in subsidies for Foxconn.
Yeah, so when Trump's saying, thank you, Terry Gao, for this investment. Thank you, Scott Walker, for making this happen. Thank me, I'm the president, I'm awesome. It's like, hey, what about us?
Yeah, we're paying for it.
And they can claim that other states supposedly offered more than we did. They didn't. They just offered to match some of the tax breaks that we already give to our manufacturers, and then we were given more money on top of that. So I thought maybe we deserved at least one modest thank you.
That's a good point, Scott. I agree.
All right, I'm going to get off my high horse on that. But the taxpayers were completely ignored on this whole thing. Let's go to another clip.
This is one of the largest plants in the world. And when you think in terms of 20 million feet, if you build in Manhattan a 1 million-foot building, that's a very big building. They don't get much bigger. And here you're talking about more. Think of it, more than 20 million feet. And that's probably going to be a minimal number. So I'm thrilled to be here in the Badger State with the hardworking men and women of Foxconn working with you. Moments ago, we broke ground on a plant that will provide jobs for much more than 13,000 Wisconsin workers. Really something.
It was a pretty positive, upbeat thing. It did, watching the whole speech, I have to say I felt like, this is going to be good for Wisconsin. And maybe that's all of Trump's superlatives piling up in my brain, and the logic can't run from them anymore. But it is a good thing for southeastern Wisconsin. I just think we paid too much for it.
I think it's a great thing for Wisconsin.
And we didn't get any credit for it from Trump.
No credit. I think it's a great thing. I think it can transform our economy, Foxconn. But it's sort of like, having a brand new TV in your house is awesome until you realize you have to spend a lot of money for it. I don't think it's worth our investment, but it's going to be good. Maybe we shouldn't have done it, but it will be. I'm hoping it's going to be really good in the end.
Yeah, what they should have done is when Terry Gao was out there, Walker should have come out with one of those giant checks, like the guy who wins the lottery, and it should have said $4.5 billion, courtesy of the Wisconsin taxpayers. They could have handed Terry the giant check.
That's awesome.
That would have been cool.
Somebody ought to draw a cartoon about that, Scott.
And then Trump could, or Gao or somebody could say, yes, thank you, Wisconsin taxpayers, and we're going to try to make this worth your investment.
Let's play that next clip, Scott.
But this is where the action is. I go around and I see the leaders of different countries, and they always say, congratulations on the great economic success that you're having in the United States. We've made so much progress in the last year and a half. It's put us in this position, and we're going up. Nobody's ever seen anything like it. And watch those GDP numbers. We started off at a very low number, and we already hit a 3.2, and I think we're going to be seeing 4s, and I think we're going to be seeing 5s, too. And I think we're going to go higher than that, but that may be in the second term, okay? Can I have a little break?
I understand why some people voted for Trump. I get it. You don't like Hillary, you're fed up, let's try something different. Okay.
Here's a guy who's going to shake up Washington.
Yeah, but who can listen to this whole thing and take the guy seriously? I guess, it's the whole, media fact-checking. You don't get it, Scott and Phil.
Yeah.
Because you're just listening for real information. You're not just having a good time and saying, yeah, go get him, Trump.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because, eighth wonder of the world. We're going to be even greater than we're already great. And
yeah, well, I'm not sure people are listening. I think they're hearing Trump, but if you actually listen to Trump, it doesn't make any sense. But if you just feel the emotion and the je ne sais quoi about the whole experience of a Trump speech or rally, there's a, you don't try and make it make sense. It doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
And if you think it makes sense, you're not listening or paying attention.
All right. Okay. I'll go back and listen to it and try it that way, and then see how it works.
You're just supposed to remember that America's great, and he's the greatest president ever, and things are better than ever before, and crooked Hillary would have ruined America.
Yeah.
And thank God she's not the president.
I guess that is the core message of the whole speech. Well, let's try really hard here, Phil. This is going to take some effort. What did we like about the speech? I'd say, first of all,
I'm still thinking here, Scott.
I did like he brought on these two people who had been employed by construction companies, and they both were women.
Moms.
One was a single mom, and it did appear that they didn't have anything in their head specifically they had worked out to say.
Impromptu, yeah. Here, come up and say something real quick.
And I thought what they said was nice. I mean, you could tell, hey, they really like this job. They're excited about the project. And I liked how unscripted it was. So I guess I'm buying into a little bit here some of the unscriptedness of the Trump phenomenon when he speaks. He brought out Terry Gao and one of the other guys who was the investors. And who's the other guy?
Masa's son, I think.
Yeah, I liked his little speech there that he gave about him promising the Foxconn thing to Trump before he had actually run it by Terry Gao.
Yeah,
I like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was sort of interesting to sort of just bring people on stage and have them say a few words
something
real quick. It's sort of like sort of felt like a picnic or something.
Yeah, and we weren't over there. We're just watching on Trump TV. Were you watching on Trump TV?
I was watching on Trump TV, which is always must-see TV.
Because I think I was on the Hill's website, but in any case,
mine was much better because it was Trump-branded television.
Yeah, yours was.
I could buy a hat from a link attached to the video. It said, "Make America Great Again."
Now, speaking of the hat, let's go to our final clip. Looking forward to the election 2 years from now.
We're seeing the results of the pro-American agenda. America first, make America great again, all those hats. Greatest phrase ever used in politics, I suspect, right? That's the greatest, make America great again. So what are we using in 2 years, 2.5 years? Can you believe 2.5 years? So soon. You know what the phrase is, right? Huh? That's right. Keep America great, of course, exclamation point, right? Keep, because we can't say in 2 years, so we were here for 4 years, we can't say make America great again. But when you look at what we're doing, it's very simple. It's called Keep America Great. We'll get you nice hats. Maybe we'll make them green this time instead of red. Green, representing cash.
So we're going to have green hats for cash.
Green hats for cash, yeah. I'm going to have to get used to drawing green hats. I've got used to drawing the red hat.
And regardless of whether America's great or not, we got to change the slogan, right, guys?
Well, we've been in charge for 4 years, so it can't still need to be made great again because we made it great in 4 years.
I guess that, that's something else I like. I like that part. It was sort of it was honestly just a pure marketing almost joke.
Yeah, and he was it sort of sounded like we were part of his focus group.
Yeah.
And he was just sort of thinking about ideas for the campaign slogan. And well, we can't go with make it great again because we already made it great. We can't claim that we didn't make it great in the 4 years. We've been here for 4 years. What are we doing here?
So bottom line, what did this actually mean that he came here and did this? With an election in Wisconsin coming up, did Donald Trump coming here in his speech help make the sale that Foxconn was worth all those dollars from taxpayers just before a big election?
No, I don't think so at all. Because I still am trying to find that person. I think Scott Walker's favorables are higher than Donald Trump's in the state of Wisconsin. I think there are people who like Scott Walker who do not like Donald Trump. And the closer he gets to Trump, the worse for Walker.
I think it's going to help him in southeastern Wisconsin. I think it's going to hurt him outside of southeastern Wisconsin. I'm talking about Walker's campaign and Republicans generally. So how does that shake out? I'm not sure. But I think, Walker could get more support from southeastern Wisconsin in places that maybe, more blue-collar voters are going to go for him because of that Foxconn thing. And then more blue-collar rural voters are not going to go for him because of the Foxconn thing. It's almost outstate. I feel like it's the whole high-speed train thing again. I know I've said it before, but where, Walker said, we're not doing that train, and people outside of Madison were like, I'm never going to use that train. Why do I want that train? Don't do that stupid train.
Yeah.
And that worked for him, but now I think people are saying the same thing about Foxconn.
I think you're right about that.
If they're not anywhere near the plant.
Maybe Trump getting up and speaking about Foxconn, maybe that works for some of those voters in western Wisconsin and northern Wisconsin those counties that swung for Trump in this election. Maybe they'll say, well, if Trump likes Foxconn, how bad can it be? Maybe that helps. Maybe it doesn't. I don't know.
Now, what would you have done, Phil, if towards the end of that speech he said, now wait a minute, where's Phil Hands? Where's that cartoonist that is drawing all these crazy cartoons about me and about Foxconn? Bring him up here. Phil, come on up here. Say a few words.
I would have shook his little tiny hand and said, pleased to meet you, Mr. President.
Oh, so you would have frozen. You wouldn't have known what to say.
I'm not sure I would have known what to say.
Yeah.
I would have said...
Glad to help.
I said, I love your hair. Who's your stylist?
Find and follow our podcast, Center Stage with Milfred and Hands, on iTunes, Google Play, Stitcher, and SoundCloud.